This whole Democrat tantrum is so revealing because they're castigating each other for ending Trump's shutdown. Before they said Trump's shutdown was like killing kids and causing planes to crash. It's like
the knives are out for Chuck Schumer. Liberals are grabbing their pitchforks, ready to give him the full Joe Biden treatment after his shutdown mess resulted in missed paychecks, flight misery, and starving SNAP recipients. But no tangible Obamacare wins for the Dems. President Trump sums it up the best.
What message do you have for Schumer tonight?
Well, I think he made a mistake in going too far.
Going too far? How?
He just went too far. He thought he could break the Republicans, and the Republicans broke him.
Throwing Schumer under the bus is quickly becoming the new political litmus test for Democrats.
My guess is that he won't be leader of the party in 2027 after this election, unless something really surprising happens.
Respect his service, but time to move on.
It's time for you to gracefully make way for a new generation.
The leadership of the Democratic Party in many respects is way out of touch with where Democrats in general are.
And when it comes to his poll numbers, CNN's data guru is putting a fork in Chuck's career.
The word of the day is terrible, 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 terrible. To quote another Charles Barkley when it comes to Chuck Schumer. Look at this. Least popular Dem Senate leader ever. He's underwater with Democrats. His own party, he's underwater. He's at -4 points. That makes him the least popular guy for a Dem Senate leader going all the way back since the mid-1980s.
Terrible, 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 Dana Perino.
Well, yes. Have you ever seen him give a floor speech?
Yes.
There's never been a time when he isn't reading it. Like, he has to read Good Morning. And it kind of drives me crazy in the newsroom when I see him. I do think he's struggled since he's there because he's not a tactician and he's also bad on policy. So you can be bad on one or bad on the other. It's very rare that you're good on both. McConnell, good on both. Thune, good on both. Harry Reid was good on both. And in this situation, the changes in the political realignment have moved faster than his staff can. Now, some of his staff over the years has cycled out because there are retirements, right? And I think a lot of the people in the Democratic Party are starting to see that. The Republicans went through this. They have a lot more youth on their side. They've got energy and excitement. And on the Democratic side, they're having not only intra-fighting, but they're having generational fighting as well. The other thing is that who's going to do it better than Chuck Schumer is not a ringing endorsement. Okay, and without him, do they fall apart? I'm not exactly sure where this goes. But also, he was the one that was saying from the very beginning about the shutdown, this gets better for us every day. And the biggest problem, in my opinion, is this happens on the Republican side too. When you gin up the base and convince them that you can win something that you do not have the votes to win, you are going to make them mad. You're going to lose, and when you cave, they're going to take it out on you.
Greg?
The big problem with this story, and it's a big problem with a lot of stories, Jesse, language. Everyone would do a lot better if they stopped using the word cave, because when somebody wants to come to an agreement and you said they caved, then they will be less inclined to agree with you in the future. Imagine if you had a spat with your spouse, or an argument with your child, or you were pulled over by the police, or you're in court, and somebody, the opposition, agrees with you on a point, and you said, "Ha, you caved."
Right.
That's really stupid. I think that word creates a resistance to cooperation, and it's funny because the Republicans don't do it as much, but the Dems even do it to themselves. I think it creates that prison of two ideas where you have to be on one or the other. Do you agree, Harold?
I think largely, yeah.
You caved. All right.
Largely, yeah.
This whole Democrat tantrum is so revealing because they're castigating each other for ending Trump's shutdown. Before they said Trump's shutdown was like killing kids and causing planes to crash. It's like saying this movie sucks. Why aren't they making a sequel? It's completely contradictory, which means they're only doing it as a political stunt. They didn't care about sick kids or starving kids. And so they're screaming about an imaginary problem, but they scream louder when the imaginary problem goes away. My only regret is that I didn't get to see reporters frantically looking for that one starving child in the United States. I don't think there is one starving child in the United States, or we would have seen that person. And then if they found that person, they would not be able to film it because the starving would have nothing to do with SNAP, would have to do with the fact that both the parents are on drugs or something crazy like that. So that it's just like, it's a bummer that we can't see how the press would move forward on this story. Again, if you watched The Five, you would have seen this coming. I think it was day one, Dana, you said, this is not going to end well for the Democrats. Yeah. Let's fast forward. And we understand the clarity of it. Just, put the bill there and sign it. But the Dems hate clarity. They want to argue about the extension of a subsidy for the ACA bill that will go right to insurance companies. And all Trump is saying, hey, I'm going to give you a check for $2,000. This is why, the Democrats embraced trans. It was the opposite of clarity. No, it's not male and female. It's a whole array of pronouns, non-binary this, non-binary that, 80 different ways to call a sex. That was very confusing. We don't do confusing.
Definitely not on cable. Harold, do you value clarity?
I do. It's good to be back. I'd say a couple of things. Two things can be right. I think Democrats, I differ with everyone around here, but I think Democrats are beating up themselves. I think we had a great last week and a half. I didn't want the government to be shut down for 40 days. And the blame game, whether it was Republican or Democrat, I'll let the polls and the people sort that out. But I do know we did have some sort of a referendum on this just a week ago where Democrats had unambiguously an incredible night and from coast to coast, from the south to the north, including in Mississippi and Georgia. When I say two things can be right, Democrats got a lot of what they wanted out of this. The problem Democrats had during the shutdown is they had no coherent message and they weren't cohesive. You had one group saying we want to extend or undo all the Medicaid cuts that were part of what President Trump calls the big, beautiful bill. That was not going to happen. You had another group saying they wanted to extend the subsidies that Greg just talked about under the ACA. Then you had another group that wanted both. Then you had another group that I don't know what they were talking about. So you look at all of this. And at the end of the day, I think Tim Kaine and Jeanne Shaheen and Angus King and John Fetterman and others showed a great deal of maturity saying, look, the election showed that affordability was the winner from the standpoint, Jesse, not that I want things to be unaffordable, but it is the issue on every voter's mind, be it Democrat or Republican. I do think President Trump, slightly precarious, if not could get even more precarious, to begin to say that people aren't feeling economic hardship. I've said around this table before, there are a number of politicians at the national level who try to tell people you're doing better than you think you are, who are no longer in politics. That's a dangerous thing to go down. Finally, on this thing with Chuck Schumer, there's no doubt that the pressure of Nancy Pelosi saying it would be her last term is around him. The urgency of the many members of the Democratic Party, whether you like some of them or not, this younger group, including those around the country who are winning as moderates. Mamdani was the outsider, the outlier in this last race. You look at on Tuesday, look at all the Democrats who won nationally. They were moderates. They came from my wing of the party. So I'm relieved and pleased by that. But Chuck Schumer has to understand is if you can't frame the victory, don't poo-poo on it like you voted against it. If you can't talk about what it is we want as a party, then maybe it's time for what some of these young Democrats are saying for new leadership and new voices at the top of the party.
Term limits. Maybe they should talk about term limits.
I'm for them. You are? I've been for them for years.
Really?
Wow. A politician in favor of term limits.
I would like to disagree.
It's a very interesting stance. Kennedy.
I don't think Chuck Schumer's old enough. I hope he's there for another 74 years. I think that's when stuff's going to get really, really interesting. And I don't know what a Schumer Democrat is. You know, you look at the party, you know what an AOC and Bernie Democrat is. Absolutely. And you know what a MAGA Republican is. I do not know what these establishment Democrats stand for. I do know that the reason President Trump's message resonated with voters who were independent and apolitical is because of the economic pain and because of all of the high prices, the inflation that the Biden administration delivered. It was Trump talking about jobs. It was not Trump handing out dependency, which is what all that socialists have to offer here. So this thing is unsurprising that Chuck Schumer is under attack, not only from Republicans who want to talk about, potentially a plan, an economic plan that has more to do with class warfare, which is going to get very, very boring, especially if any of these younger voters want to move into upper brackets. He's also under fire from the progressives. The only friends that Chuck Schumer has left are Rachel Maddow and Hakeem Jeffries. Can you imagine being stuck in an elevator with those two? It's, reason to
and
take
imagine what they say behind his back.
Oh, it's not good. And Chuck can't even hear. He can't see. I don't think he's got any of his senses left. So the writing is on the wall for him. They don't have a cohesive message.
The Five makes one thing unmistakably clear. The Democratic Party is dealing with a full-blown leadership crisis, and Chuck Schumer is at the center of the collapse. His shutdown strategy didn't just fail, it exposed weak leadership, fractured messaging, and a party divided by age, ideology, and direction. Republicans came out united, Democrats came out frustrated, and Schumer came out wounded. If there's any takeaway from this segment, it's that Democrats are hungry for new leadership, and the pressure on Schumer isn't going away. It's accelerating. If you want more straight-up breakdowns with zero sugarcoating, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss when we expose the political chaos the media won't touch. Drop a comment on who you think should replace Schumer. The responses on this one are going to be wild.